Welcome, bienvenidos, benvindu to the Soccermetrics Copa Libertadores show, part of the SDH network, the only English language show devoted to South America's premier club competition. I'm your host, Howard Hamilton, the founder of Soccermetrics. We're at the end of the October international break that has brought most of men's club football to a halt. Next week, the men's Copa Libertadores returns with the semifinals. But last week and this week, the women's Copa Libertadores has been the talk of the continent. In this episode, I'll recap the two knockout rounds of the Copa Libertadores Femenina that were played this week and set the stage for Saturday's final. But first we start, as always, with news from around the continent. And we start in Brazil, where Bruno Henrique has found out his punishment. As you recall from the previous episode, Bruno Henrique was charged with making obscene gestures at Estudiantes fans after the quarterfinal round tie in La Plata last month. He grabbed his crotch. He made a very familiar two-word remark in English very loudly to Estudiantes fans. CONMEBOL were made aware of it, and they opened an investigation on the incident. Henrique was fined $25,000 for his actions. But most importantly, Henrique is available for the semifinal round matches against Racing Club next week. Racing Club, for their part, were fined a total of $50,000 between the club and manager for not returning to the pitch on time versus Vélez Sarsfield in the second leg of their quarterfinal tie at Estadio Cilindro. The club were fined $30,000, while the manager Gustavo Costas was fined $20,000. This was actually Racing Club's second infraction this season. The last time that they were fined for returning late to the pitch was in a group stage match at Colo-Colo on the third match day. Turning our attention to the Copa Sudamericana, the semifinal round matches are now set. And there are two teams from the Libertadores group stage who are present in the Final Four. In the first semifinal, Universidad de Chile face Argentinas Lanús, while in the second semifinal, it's Independiente del Valle of Ecuador versus Brazil's Atlético Mineiro. Atlético Mineiro, you might remember, were the finalists of the Copa Libertadores last season. These matches will be played next week as two-legged ties. The final will be played in Asunción on November 22nd, and the winner will advance to the 2026 Copa Libertadores group stage. And who will be in Libertadores in 2026? We already know the identities of at least 8 of the teams who will be in next season's competition. Running down the 10 countries in CONMEBOL, Platense have a berth from Argentina as Torneo Apertura winners. They'll be in the group stage. In Colombia, Independiente Santa Fe grabbed one of the group stage berths, while in Ecuador, Independiente del Valle ensured qualification as one of the top finishers in Ecuador's Liga Pro. They will enter the competition in the group stage. They are still eligible to grab a berth as Copa Sudamericana winners. In Paraguay, Libertad have one of the 4 berths for that country, while in Peru, Universitario have locked up a top 4 finish in that country's domestic competition. Uruguay will be represented by Nacional, with 3 other clubs to be named later, while in Venezuela, alone among the 10 CONMEBOL associations, 3 of the 4 representatives are now known. Deportivo La Guaira, who will enter the competition in the group stage, Carabobo, and Universidad Central. It's unlikely that Carabobo will advance to a group stage berth, but it's still possible that Universidad Central could lock up a group stage berth from that country. Now, In all of these associations, you gain a berth into Copa Libertadores by finishing high enough in the league competition or by winning a league playoff. Increasingly in South American associations, you can advance to Libertadores through cup competitions. 7 of the 10 CONMEBOL associations have cup competitions. Only Colombia, Peru, and Venezuela do not have cup competitions. And I should mention that Bolivia, Brazil, and Chile do not have any of the berths locked up for next season's competition. They're all in the middle of cup competitions and league competitions, but there's still about 6 to 8 weeks left in all of those domestic leagues. And of course, there remain 39 berths to be confirmed for next season's South American club competition. So that wraps up the news from around South America and around the Libertadores. Now turning our attention to the Copa Libertadores Femenina. In the previous episode, I recapped the results from the group stage of this competition. All of these matches are being played in 2 locations in Argentina. The quarterfinal round matches were played last week, and those 4 matches went as follows. Corinthians defeated Boca Juniors 4-0 in the top half of the quarterfinal draw. Gabsonati scored a first half hat trick for the 5-time Libertadores winners, while Johnson wrapped up the scoring with the 4th goal in the second half. Corinthians dominated possession of this match by a 3-2 margin, and they had total dominion of shots on goal. 10 shots on goal to Corinthians, while Boca Juniors match only 1. A comprehensive victory for the current Libertadores holders. In the other match of the top half of the bracket, Ferroviaria defeated Independiente del Valle 3-0. They were 2 goals up in the first 30 minutes, and 3 different goal scorers were on the score sheet for the Brazilian side. While either they enjoyed a 3-2 advantage in possession, Ferroviaria were by far the more dangerous side going forward, and they converted when it mattered. In the bottom half of the bracket, Colo-Colo extended their South American record winning streak to 36 wins in a row over all competitions, defeating Libertad 1-0. Mari Valencia, who has scored all of the goals for Colo-Colo in this competition, scored the deciding goal on the hour. A ball was worked through on the right-hand side. Michelle Olivares floated across to Mari Valencia, who converted a simple header past the Libertad keeper. Colo-Colo dominated the passing game by a 2-1 margin. 520 passes achieved by the Chilean side to 202 by the Paraguayans. Yet Libertad forced 3 saves by Ryan Torrero in the latter stages of the match. Torrero being key to preserving that victory for Colo-Colo. The match actually stood out, or at least the aftermath of the match stood out, for a rant that was made by Michelle Olivares on her Instagram account. Olivares, defender for Colo-Colo, who supplied the match-winning assist to Mari Valencia. And it was essentially a clapback at Universidad de Chile supporters. An important thing to keep in mind is that Olivares used to play for Universidad de Chile. And she had this to say about remarks being made by the rival supporters. In quote, "They don't support their women's team, but we got them watching ours. Ha ha ha. What an embarrassment being fans of a club that is embarrassed of their women's branch. When the men's team was in danger of being relegated, they were in danger of being relegated in 2021, it was the women's team that saved the club's face. What bad memories," end quote. So she got some critical remarks for making a statement toward Universidad de Chile fans, and there were some people on social media who were remarking that CONMEBOL tends to take a dim view of players who are making aggressive or clapback remarks uh, at rival supporters in the men's game. And one commentator was wondering if if this person will face similar repercussions for her remarks. Not exactly sure. It's probably not. It's probably not a pleasant thing to say. Probably could have let sleeping dogs lie, but the emotions of winning a match, especially a Libertadores match, is very strong. So moving on to the fourth and final match of the quarterfinal round, and that was Deportivo Cali's 2-0 victory over Sao Paulo. The Colombian side opened the scoring in the 34th minute through Maria Marquinhos, and this was the result of miscommunication and a poorly weighted ball by Sao Paulo's defender Kaká to her own goalkeeper Carlinha. Marquinhos intercepted the attempted pass and squeezed the ball inside the far post to give the Colombian side the 1-0 lead. They would double that lead on the hour mark when a Sao Paulo player was charged with committing handball in the penalty area. A penalty kick was given, and the resulting kick was converted by Paula Garcia to Carlinhos' right. Sao Paulo had some chances to regain a foothold in this match. A shot by Annie hit the crossbar late, another shot by her went over the bar, and a long-range effort by Victorina forced a save by Luisa Agudelo late in the match. Yet, it would be Deportivo Cali who would hold on for the 2-0 victory. With those matches, the semifinal round was set. In the first semifinal, Corinthians would face Ferroviaria in an all-Brazilian matchup, while in the second semifinal, Colo-Colo would face Deportivo Cali. In the first semifinal, Corinthians battled Ferroviaria to a 1-1 draw. Marisa opened the scoring for Corinthians in the 41st minute, while Andressa Pereira equalized for Ferroviaria 9 minutes from time. The match would go to a penalty kick shootout and stood out by two misses by players on opposing sides. In the third round of the shootout, Jacqueline Ribeiro missed for Corinthians, giving Ferroviaria a momentary advantage. But in the following round, Mileia Carioca missed her spot kick attempt, equalizing the scores at 3 goals apiece. Penalty kick takers from either side would convert their spot kicks in the fifth and final regulation round, resulting in a 4-4 score. And the penalty kick shootout would go to sudden death. And it took until the 7th round for the deadlock to be broken. Duda Sampaio converted for Corinthians, but Fatima Dutra's attempt by Ferroviaria was saved by Nicole Ramos. Corinthians won the penalty kick shootout 6-5, and they advanced to yet another Copa Libertadores final. The other Libertadores semifinal between Colo-Colo and Deportivo Cali would also be decided by a penalty kick shootout. This match ended 0-0 after 90 minutes, and both teams had 5 penalty kick attempts, and the match would be decided at the final round of penalty kicks. Mari Valencia, the player for Colo-Colo who carried them throughout the group stage and through the knockout rounds, was the lone player to miss her penalty. Very sad outcome for her. It's very unfortunate to have a player who is so decisive, who literally carried the team with her goals, would be the player who would turn out to be decisive for her team and not in a good way. But in the fifth and final round, it was left to Stefania Perlasa to convert the winning penalty for Deportivo Cali. She converted her spot kick, and it would be Deportivo Cali and not Colo-Colo who would advance to the Copa Libertadores final. Colo-Colo's long match-winning streak was over, and it would be the Colombian side who will face Corinthians for the crown of South American women's club football. So on the 18th of October, on Saturday, Ferroviaria and Colo-Colo will meet in the third place playoff at Estadio Florencia Solá in Banfield. In the final, we have Deportivo Cali versus Corinthians. And, it's a little challenging to say that these are the two best teams in the competition. Definitely could say that of Corinthians. I think a lot of people really wanted to see if Colo-Colo could really run the table in Libertadores and extend that winning streak in South American football and in world women's football. But you could fairly say that these are the two best teams in the competition. Corinthians has scored 16 goals in the Libertadores Femenina. Now, it's worth mentioning that 11 of those goals were scored in one match versus Always Ready. Deportivo Cali, for their part, have allowed only one goal over the entire tournament, by far the fewest of the 16 Libertadores competitors. And they haven't allowed a goal since match day 1 of the group stage. So that's a streak of at least 360 minutes without seeing their goal beaten. The winner of Saturday's final will receive $2 million, one of the richest paydays in women's club football. The runner-up will receive $650,000, while third place will go home with $250,000. 2 matches left in the Copa Libertadores Femenina. The climactic moment of women's club football in South America. And I think Deportivo Cali and Corinthians will produce a compelling final. Got a comment or question about this podcast or about the Copa Libertadores? Send them to my X handle at Soccermetrics. You can also send questions or comments to @SoccerDownHere or to Jason Longshore at Longshoe. I'll be back next week to preview the semifinal round of the men's Libertadores and review the women's Libertadores final. This has been the Soccermetrics Copa Libertadores show, proudly part of the SDH network. See you later. Hasta luego. E até mais.